Are you feeling overpriced on Bellingham's real estate market? Well, you're not alone, so don't give up just quite yet. Because in a few minutes, I'm gonna talk about 3 great options in 3 cities that surround Bellingham that offer affordability and some charm as well. So stick around because we're gonna be talking about Ferndale, Birch Bay and Blaine, and Lynden, where your dream home may be closer and cheaper than you think. All right, so for our first city, we're gonna talk about Ferndale, Washington. Now, Ferndale is the closest out of all those 3 cities that are closest to Bellingham. Now, the way you can access it is just right up the I-5 corridor, and it's only a couple of exits past Bellingham, especially northern Bellingham, where you have Costco, Fred Meyer's, and you have a lot more groceries. So, in my opinion, I feel like Ferndale is definitely an extension of Bellingham, yet there's gonna be a lot of people who are local to Ferndale that are gonna say, no way, Ferndale is not anything like Bellingham, which, you know, some people agree on. Obviously, yes, it's a different city, but it's so close to Bellingham that it feels like it is a northern part of Bellingham. Now, Ferndale definitely has grown quite a bit, and so have all these cities that I'm about to talk in this video. Ferndale, a lot of the old charm is still there, and there is a lot of farmland there that there's been tons and tons of new construction. But as you enter Ferndale, you're gonna be welcomed essentially to a very small downtown. It's gonna give you that kind of old Western sort of vibe, sort of town. Now you keep continuing going north in Ferndale, you're gonna find a lot more established neighborhoods, and the more essentially north and west that you go, you're gonna find a lot more new construction. Now getting into Ferndale sometimes can be kind of a havoc. There's only 2 exits getting into Ferndale. Yes, there are some back roads, but going into Ferndale, especially in the peak hours, I would say could be pretty horrific, because in the traffic times around 5 p.m. or so, there's only one way in essentially to Ferndale and one way out. So a lot of these exits can be backed up, and there's so many people that have been moving into Ferndale that there's been a lot more traffic and a lot more accidents on the freeway. Now for the real estate prices, the average home sold price in 2024 in Ferndale was $650,000. That's up 5% from 2023, which is pretty good, which is really great with all these high interest rates that we've had in 2024. Now, compared to Bellingham, where it's $825,000, which is the average sold price, that's 15% less than it is in Bellingham. So this is why Ferndale is one of the cities that is very affordable. Obviously, it's right down the road from Bellingham. You can buy a lot more bang for your buck. Now, in Ferndale itself, they will have grocery shopping, they'll have a Hagen's, they'll have bars, they'll have restaurants. Now, their downtown area isn't as large as Bellingham, and obviously it's not as big, so they don't have any of these other sort of urban areas, but they have enough that definitely a lot of people will go and grocery shop, go out to eat, so on and so forth. And they do have great parks and some new things that are coming to Ferndale. Now, again, because Bellingham is your major city, a lot of people will go into Bellingham and they will go to Costco, they'll go to Fred Meyer's, they'll do more bars, more restaurants. And that's also because Bellingham is so close. So keep that in mind. Ferndale definitely has its own sort of infrastructure to where you don't really have to leave Ferndale. But again, we only have one Costco in our county. A lot of people shop there, so that's mainly where you might go as well. So when you're looking at houses here in Ferndale, you definitely will come to find some more established neighborhoods, but a lot of people are moving to Ferndale because they have a lot of newer construction homes. So you'll have developments like Malloy Terrace, Churchill Ranch, and probably one of my favorites is the Meadows, where the Meadows has this extensive area where they have some trails, a big neighborhood, and that actually goes right into Churchill Ranch, which is really great. So a lot of these houses will have, you know, maybe smaller lots on that 4 to 7,000 or square foot lot. They range anywhere really from that $600,000 to $900,000 price range or so. Now, some of the homes in Ferndale, yes, they will reach over $1 million. Like I said, you know, Ferndale used to be a lot of farmland, and some of these houses do sit on a couple acres, if not more. So you will find homes that will have some views of Mount Baker, maybe some pockets of area that will have views of the ocean, but they'll have more acreage, more territorial views that you will find definitely for over $1 million. So Ferndale would be a good option if you A, are looking for new construction, and B, if you're looking for a house with some land, maybe you have a shop or a barn, this would be a really good option for you. So like I mentioned earlier, Ferndale is growing. There's a lot more businesses coming in. They're opening up. Ferndale High School is probably one of the biggest investments that the city has done in a very, very long time. It's a brand new $107 million high school, and it looks amazing. Now, it holds about 1,700 students or so, and they're gonna be classified classified in the 3A here in Washington. So the highest we go is up to 4A. So we're right up there in the amount of students. So Ferndale, phenomenal school, beautiful, great schools. You'll have 2 middle schools and a couple of elementary schools as well. Now you're gonna have Hovander Park as well. So for those of you that like to be out and about, Hovander Park is great because there's a lot of area you can go there, do picnics, throw some parties, kind of see kind of like the old pioneer sort of ways that Ferndale and the roots have come from. They're opening up a brand new skate park as well. So again, there's a lot more coming into Ferndale and it is quickly growing. So Ferndale, for the average home price of $650,000, a great option compared to Bellingham, which will give you about a 15% less or so expensive house in Ferndale compared to Bellingham. And speaking about community in Ferndale, Ferndale has a great Facebook page. It's called the Neighbors of Ferndale. I think there's like 15 or 20,000 people that are part of this Facebook page. And the community is so strong that people post in there if they need help. They offer their services with landscaping, construction, whatever it is, restaurants, let alone Ferndale saved a business. It was a tamale place that was shutting down. They flushed there and they ordered so many tamales that they kept that business alive. So Ferndale definitely has that great vibe and that great community and that sense of protection with its own people and the own people there in Ferndale. All right guys, I just want to take a second and I just want to thank you for watching this video. I really want to let you know I do these videos and I create them for people who are just like you, who are looking at buying a house, whether you're already living here or you're moving to the area. I want to help you and your family. I really make these videos to be educational and to hopefully that this will benefit you before you guys come and visit. So if you're looking at buying a house here in our area, Bellingham or in Whatcom County, please reach out to me. All my information will be down below. And again, we'll go back into the next 2 cities. All right, so let's talk about our next few cities. Now, these next ones are, essentially it's one area, but it's split up pretty much into 3 different small towns within the city. So we have Blaine, but we have Birch Bay, which is in Blaine, and we also have Semiahmoo. So let's talk about Birch Bay first. Now, Birch Bay and Blaine in just general is probably, I think, the second most popular area that people are moving to. So if we go into Birch Bay, so Birch Bay is about 25 minutes or so away from Bellingham. So you head up I-5, you pass Ferndale, and then you head west towards the water for another maybe 7 or 8 minutes. Now, Birch Bay is a beautiful, beautiful town, and it's definitely got your beach vibes. So if you're looking and thinking that Bellingham is more of that beach vibes because we're on the water, that is completely not correct. It's Birch Bay that will give you that sort of beach vibes where you have your cute little cottages right on the water. Obviously, it's called Birch Bay because it sits on a bay. Nice long road, beautiful boardwalk that goes up and down the main area there in Birch Bay. You're gonna have lots of restaurants, lots of cute shops, lots of condos. You're gonna have a lot of Airbnbs in this area. And you're definitely gonna find a lot of great spots where you can be right on the water, near the water, or have a pool. Now, the average home price in Birch Bay is about $562,000. And there's a lot of people that do live in Birch Bay, but there's also a good portion that rent out or do the Airbnb business. So obviously for $562,000, it's gonna be much, much more affordable than it is in Bellingham. So Birch Bay also has Birch Bay Village, which is a private community, which is very, very sought after. A lot of different houses in the Birch Bay Village. Now there's anywhere between homes that are really like $300,000 or $400,000 all the way up to over $1 million. Now, sometimes people think going into the Birch Bay Village, you can hit $1.5 million home, and then next thing you know, you have a double wide that's maybe worth $300,000. That's maybe the only complaint in Birch Bay. Otherwise, people love the safety, love the community. You can only enter and leave, and there's a guard with a gate. It's completely safe, which people love. So if you're looking at a private gated community, Birch Bay Village would be a really great option for you guys. So now if we head just maybe 7 or 8 minutes, a little bit more north from Birch Bay, we're gonna hit Semiahmoo. And a lot of people absolutely love Semiahmoo, or they just doesn't really catch their vibe. And it's only for one reason, because Semiahmoo is quite far away from a lot of stuff. Now, Blaine itself, the infrastructure isn't really quite there. They don't have a true anchor store when it comes to grocery shopping. So when you're in Blaine, you're a good maybe 30 minutes or so, if not more, into Bellingham, where you can do a lot more grocery shopping, do a lot more errands, or you need to go to more restaurants, so on and so forth. But Semiahmoo is a big private, almost, it's not a big retirement community, but it does consist of a lot more retirees. Now, a lot of people love Semiahmoo for this reason because it is very, very quiet. Semiahmoo sits right on the water just as well. There's a lot of neighborhoods in Semiahmoo that are all completely gated, very private, and you do sit on the Semiahmoo Golf and Country Club, which is a really nice course to play at. And it was actually built by Arnold Palmer. It was an Arnold Palmer design. So if you know anything about golf, Arnold Palmer is a very, very successful and very known golfer. So when it comes to home prices in Semiahmoo, the average house in Semiahmoo is $850,000, which actually is more than Bellingham. Now, in Semiahmoo, you will have homes for sure. You'll have a lot of homes that will be over $1 million or $1.5 million. So you will find that. You will find more luxury. You'll have more new construction as well. It's very private. That's the pros. The cons is that it's far away from a lot of things. Semiahmoo does have the nice Semiahmoo resort as well. You can go there. They have a spa, they have a pool, they have the marina, and it just sits out what we call the spit, so the Semiahmoo spit. And it's a beautiful area. You can see into Canada, you can see White Rock, you can see Langley, Abbotsford. So there's definitely a lot of pros when it comes to this area that a lot of people like. So if you're somebody that's looking that you don't really need to get out, you don't need to go to a lot of restaurants, you don't need to run a lot of errands, and you like to be within a community of people, maybe your same age, Semiahmoo is a great place for you. I would say for the younger crowd my age that do have a lot of kids, because there isn't a lot of kids there, may not be the best spot because it is a lot more of a quieter retirement sort of community sort of feel. So Semiahmoo was just a little bit northwest of where we're at. Now, if we go up a little bit more, then we're gonna be into Blaine proper. Now, Blaine proper in the city of Blaine sits right on the Canadian and US border. So you are right there. And of course, we have the beautiful Peace Arch crossing. You also have the park there. People go out and hang out, have picnics, take pictures. It's a beautiful, beautiful area. The average home price in Blaine is about $650,000. Now, that's almost $200,000 less than Bellingham, which is making Blaine a really desirable area. A lot of people who are maybe first-time home buyers are definitely going into Blaine because it's very attractive. The community in Blaine is fantastic. The schools are great. The high school, the middle school, and elementary all kind of blend into one. So you're gonna have a great sense of community. Now, again, it is the furthest away from Bellingham, and the way you get to Blaine is from the freeway. So again, you take I-5, you pass Ferndale, you pass Birch Bay, and you get into Blaine. If you go past Blaine, you're hitting the Canadian border, and you better have your passport or a special ID card because they're gonna hassle you, and it's gonna be a difficult time for you to get back. But Blaine, that is probably the biggest thing that people have against Blaine, maybe they don't move there, is because it is quite far away. Again, they don't have a true anchor store. They don't have a Fred Meyer's or a Big Hagen's, or they don't have a lot of restaurants and bars as maybe Ferndale and especially Bellingham. But the affordability is definitely there. The community is there, and there is great things to do there. And I know a lot of locals there, they do brag about they finally have a Starbucks. And if you have a Starbucks, that means people are coming to the area, and that's what Starbucks looks for, is making sure there's a lot of traffic. So the downtown is very cute. It's very small. They have some great pizza place, great steaks there. They have their own marina, which is great. I used to fish out of there all the time. So again, really good affordability there, good charm, just a little bit farther away than some people may like. All right, let's talk about a third and final city here that's closest to Bellingham, that is affordable and definitely has a lot of charm, and that is Lynden, Washington. Now, Lynden is not so much north, but it's a little bit northeast of Bellingham. So there's two ways you can get there, is taking Hannigan all the way up into Lynden, or the Guide Meridian up to Lynden. So essentially, Blaine kind of sits over here and Lynden sits up this way. Lynden also does border the Canadian border, but but it's not so quite on top of it like Blaine is currently. So now Lynden could arguably be, if not one of the most, if not the top most popular places that people are moving to besides Bellingham here in Whatcom County. Now for the real estate prices, their average home price that was sold in 2024 was $725,000. So just below Bellingham, still very affordable. Yes, still a little bit higher up there, still a great choice. Now there is a lot of farmland in Lynden. So Lynden was pretty much all farmland, and to this day, it's one of the top areas where it provides a lot of raspberries, berries, and other crops to the entire country, especially those raspberries. And that's what they're known for, is their berries, their corn, their milk, their cheese, a lot of different things of that nature. So what Lynden is really known for is their Dutch heritage, right? There's a lot of Dutch that came in back in the day and settled here. It has a lot of its charm. If you go into downtown Lynden, it is super nice. It reminds me of a smaller Fairhaven. You know, Fairhaven's in Bellingham, but Lynden, their downtown is super clean, super nice. You won't find trash anywhere. You won't find any drugs. You won't find any homeless people there. And they keep that downtown really nice. Now they're starting to grow just as Ferndale. They're bringing in new restaurants, new bars, new shops. Avenue Bread there is one of my favorite. There's maybe like 4 or 5 around the county. The one in Lynden is definitely the best one by far. Beautiful area, breakfast, lunch, dinner, great coffee. I love going there. So there's definitely a lot to do there. And if you go there, they're still gonna have that sort of Dutch heritage. A lot of the buildings will look and have that feel to it, which even people that come from Canada visit Lynden just to take a look at it. So there's definitely 2 things that draw people to Lynden: affordability and room and space. So what Lynden is really known for in the summertime is we have one of the state fairs there in Lynden, Washington. So you're gonna have carnival rides, you're definitely gonna have a lot of animals, you're gonna have face painting, food, you're gonna have concerts, derby, rallies, all this stuff. And it's very popular in the summertime, along with the 3-on-3 Raspberry Festival, which is the second largest 3-on-3 tournament in the country from Hoop Fest in Spokane. So we definitely have a lot of attractions that come to Lynden, which is really fun. Now, when it comes to living in Lynden and buying real estate, you're gonna have more of what people call, you know, West Lynden, which is gonna be the more established neighborhoods. They can range anywhere from that 600 to $1 million or so price range. They can be small. They'll have a little bit of that charm like Bellingham has, those older, maybe mid-40s, mid-century sort of feels, which is great. And they're gonna have also a lot of bigger homes because, again, this was old farmland. So whether they bought this land 10 or 20 years ago, they were just able to develop a bigger home. And then you get to the east side of Lynden, where there's a bunch of new construction that was starting to develop in about 2014. And the newest development is in Lager Way, which is maybe a year or 2 old, which a lot of people love, especially in my generation. You will get a lot more bang for your buck, and the lots aren't that small. So you're definitely gonna have a variety of really great modern craftsmen, a lot more contemporary homes in this area as well, which is drawing a lot of people to the area. And the fact that Lynden is just a small town feel, and there's a lot of nice people there. And Lynden definitely has a strong religious community. So at one point they had the most churches per capita in the entire country, and there's a lot of churches in Lynden. If you've seen some of my other videos, I have talked about Lynden, so you will see there's a bunch of churches everywhere, but they're not pushing their religion on you, or they're not doing all this and that. So it's a great town. A lot of people move into Lynden for the same reasons people move out of Lynden. Now, Lynden isn't that far away from things. They do have a Safeway, they will have restaurants, some bars. Again, their downtown is growing and their infrastructure is coming in, and there's just a lot of people that are moving into Lynden that it's slowing up some other things, and they do need a lot more, and people do complain that they need a larger grocery store or just another grocery store on the east side of Lynden. Now, it's only 20 or so minutes away from Bellingham, and like I said, there's 2 ways of getting there. It's not that far. It's more in the county. You will see a lot of farmland. One thing to think of when you do move to Lynden, if you're not from a county or rural area, is that for a good couple of months out of the year, you will smell manure because, again, big farmlands are spreading the manure everywhere for their crops or for the grass or whatever they need it for. So that's one thing to keep in mind. It will smell like manure for a while, but eventually, yes, it will go away. So for families that are moving into Lynden, it is a very safe place. It's probably one of the lowest crime rates in all of Whatcom County, if not the state. My wife's from Lynden. She says every time she goes there, and growing up, you never locked your car doors, which I still think is crazy, even if it was 20 years ago, because I still lock my car doors, but that is a thing. People go there and they feel very, very safe. And people don't lock their doors or their car doors because that's how safe they feel. Now, granted, you can still do it. I would, but that's just kind of the mentality they have. Now, again, going back to a strong community feel like Ferndale and Blaine, Lynden definitely has a strong community. Everybody's looking out for each other. The neighbors are looking out for each other. And kids, you're definitely gonna see that the neighborhoods in Lynden are like what they used to be in Bellingham maybe 15, 20 years ago. You'll see a bunch of kids riding their bikes everywhere, walking, playing, playgrounds, because again, it's very, very safe. All right, guys, well, I can keep talking about each individual city for a long, long time, so I don't want to bore you. So whether it's Ferndale's small charm feel, it's Blaine's coastal vibes, or Lynden's strong sense of community, there's definitely a right area and a right house for you. So whether you're looking in Bellingham or anywhere outside of that area, please, guys, I want to help you and your family move to the area and find a place that you can call home. So once again, guys, my name is Aldo with the Lynden Real Estate Team. Please, if you found this video helpful, give it a like, hit the subscribe button, and once again, guys, my name is Aldo, and we will see you next time.